Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jennie McCafferty for Michigan Golfer. We're at beautiful Manistee Country Club on kind of a windy day, and with us is W. Bruce Matthews III. So, Bruce, how are things going today?
Very good, thank you.
It's been fun looking at this course, and one of the things that's really interesting to us is the idea of renovating a golf course. It's got to be trickier than building one because you've got a design already in front of you. How do you start?
You start by looking at the site, understanding the site, asking the committees what their goals are.
Committees.
And then there you go. And that takes a lot of time right there. But what their goals are. Then you, depending on what course you're on, I've done a lot of Donald Ross golf courses. What's the original architect? What did Donald Ross like? What did he do? What did my granddad do? Worked on his courses. And Bendelow, what type of style was he working on in this era? And figure out what you can do to fix it for maintainability, playability. Golf courses are living entities. Trees grow, trees die. If you have an impact tree, it changes and falls down, and struck by lightning, it changes the hole completely. So what do you do? And you figure out what you can do. Bunker placement, tee placement, updating for today's game.
What is an update that you do other than, say, taking out a tree?
Tees, bunkers. When you look at the game, I started in golf course architecture in 1985. From the back tee to the center of the landing area, it was 240 yards. Today's golfer, when you look at the back tee golfers, they're hitting it with 325 yards easily. So what happens is there used to be dog legs at 225, 240 yards. Those dog legs, the better golfers hitting an iron off the tee. So you're trying to look and see, updating the golf course, what can you do either to straighten out the hole, or what can you do to put a hazard in, or what can you do to take the misplaced hazards out, because the bunkers used to be at 180 yards and they're now catching seniors instead of catching the better golfer. So, it's a lot of different things, moving the hazards, moving the tees back and forth.
So you really have to be thinking about all different kinds of golfers, good golfers, beginning golfers.
Correct.
Bad golfers.
Correct. The bad golfer is your next good golfer.
Oh,
so you don't start.
I love it.
So you've got to keep them interested in the game.
Okay.
If you discourage a bad golfer, it's just the wrong thing to do.
What kind of thing discourages any golfer?
Length as the primary thing.
Okay.
And that's where we're doing on tees. We're doing forward tees and even forward tees. At Railside a couple of years ago, and it's really nice. We've got a family set of tees out there in the fairways. They range from 140 to 170 yards from the green. It's great play. The juniors can play along with mom and dad on the 9 holes or 18 holes. And they've got their spot to tee off. Okay. Or the family can play it as a par 3 golf course. Okay. There's a lot of that happening. There's several things on keeping it interesting. Don't put the long grass. Everybody wants meadow grasses and fescues now. Yeah. You can't put that in short and to the right, because that's where my shot goes. And there's a lot of other people that are right there with me. So long left, just proper placement in the hole. Looking at that type of thing.
Well, you've renovated somewhere around 65 courses. Who are some of the original designers you like coming after? Oh.
Well, I've spent one client, Cascade Hills Country Club in Grand Rapids, was Jack Derry course. I spent 20 years at Cascade Hills. Spring Lake Country Club was Tom Bendelow course. I spent a decade remodeling there. Country Club of Lansing, one of my favorite courses, Langford Monroe course. I spent 20 years there working with them, just updating.
So this is long-term.
Correct. Many of my remodeling clients are, years.
Okay.
Years and decades.
Okay, we had a storm, this tree came down, now what are we going to do, that kind of thing?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And and it's fun working with them, because at that point the good clubs have a committee that's pretty much a standing committee on part of their grounds and updating, and have the consistent members. This Cascade Hills is a great example. I've worked with John Barber for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And Celestino, John Celestino, the pro, and Al Batham, the superintendent. Those three guys were consistent, so they knew what we were doing from year to year to year.
Oh, that must be especially fun.
Yeah, and it worked that way. Same thing at Country Club of Lansing. We had key players, and for many years. It makes it easier, and it benefits the club to have a standing committee.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're talking somewhat about private courses. Are there differences in the way you would approach a private course or a public course?
Yes, public course, a private course, you can make it a little bit more strategic and a little more challenging.
Okay.
Public course, you've got to watch what you're doing with the hazards and the tee placement.
Okay. What kind of people do you work with on a public course?
On the public course, it's usually just the owner and the superintendent.
Okay.
And they're really a lot easier to work with than the private club when you're working with committees, because the committees you're working with 12 people and you're explaining each decision that you've made, and everybody's got to give their input.
Yeah.
But on public courses, you're usually working with 2 or 3, and it goes much quicker and easier.
What's one of the favorites you've renovated?
The courses, I like all the courses. It's the people.
They're all your children.
Yeah, the people. And I had a great deal of fun with Country Club of Lansing.
Okay.
I did. In fact, my cousin Mark McGee was the superintendent there,
Okay.
so that made it easier because you're
Okay.
there with family. Cascade Hills is one of the most progressive clubs in the state. It's really been a blast working with them. But I like them all. Everybody's got their own personality.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working with Sunnybrook Country Club, and that's another one of my granddad's courses.
Okay.
He did that one in the '60s, and so I'm just updating my granddad's course there.
Next time I'm playing, I'm going to be paying attention. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.